Hi, I would like to start by saying that it is impressive that he can speak and understand 7 different languages. I would love to be able to do that. One day, by practicing, I know. But what about the techniques, or how he called them, the skills which we must take into account if we want to speak a variety of languages? So the last two really called my attention, but let's start from the beginning. And the first one, he says that it is correct to make mistakes, and that we need to relax ourselves. And I think that everybody tells us that when we are trying to learn something new. So, for example, when I was a child and I was learning how to ride a bike, I felt an uncomfortable times, um, even when I had help with those little wheels at the back of the bike. Or when I learned how to do crochet, I made a lot of errors through my process, but I learned in that way by making mistakes. And now I can make a variety of stuffs just by looking at the pattern. And talking about languages, as you know, I'm learning French, and it is funny to tell how I decided to learn French because I remember that when I was at high school, a friend of mine was learning French, and when I listened to him speaking in that language, I was like, "Ah, what are you telling me? I don't understand you." And one day, I told him, "I will never learn that language because it sounds weird and bizarre." And 3 years later, I'm here trying to learn that language. So never say never. And about making mistakes, mistakes are essential in any aspect of our lives, and we learn from them. So, as he said, we need to look for our insecurity, and in that way we will be vulnerable, and that will carry us to be perceptive. And I think, right, uh, because we will be looking for the solution or for the right way to pronounce words or the right way to write them down. So now the third one, no, so the second technique was to scrap the alphabet, and it was interesting how he taught the Portuguese word. It was like looking for similar sounds in your native language and use them and use some of those sounds to create the new word in the language that you are learning. I mean, um, that was kind of interesting and new for me because I mean there are words which almost sound the same, but they aren't completely homophones. So yeah, it was very interesting. And now the third one is simple. It's basically he says find a stickler, and in common words is someone who guides you through this learning process. It could be a teacher, a classmate, anyone. But here comes the last two techniques which caught my attention. He calls this one shower conversations. And when we are taking a shower, we relax ourselves, and our mind remembers all what we have done. And in some cases, we remember those discussions we have had with someone, and we start thinking of that perfect argument. Sometimes I just sit on the sofa and start thinking about a presentation that I have had in English that day and all the errors that I had made. And I start saying all what I was supposed to say. and everything sounds perfectly, fluently, without hesitating, but this is because I'm relaxed in that moment. Or after classes, I kept this kind of English ship in my mind, and I start talking to myself in English, and or start thinking in English, and start having those internal arguments with myself in English. Uh, so finally we reached the last one, and this is my favorite, the body formula. And this is basically finding someone to practice with, having conversations in the target language, as he called it. It is helpful to start using more vocabulary and to start having secret conversation. And to me it is funny because here at home only my cousin can speak English besides me. And when we are at the living room and we don't want others to listen to what we are saying or to understand what we are discussing, we start talking in English, and that's our secret conversation. So to summarize, the video was pretty interesting. It taught me some new techniques which I will take into account to learn another language. The guy seemed to be secure of what he was saying and was pleasant to listen to him. And yeah, I really enjoyed that video.